Hello, and welcome to some Dodge family history. This is where I present information and research on my ancestors who served in the military during the early 20th century. Today, I will be presenting on part of my great-grandpa Dodge's VA claims file. Specifically, I will present on the war risk insurance application and the adjusted compensation or bonus application. What is the VA claims file? The VA claims file is a compilation of applications and records that were submitted by the veteran or their dependents, such as spouse and children, or other family members to claim benefits that were due to the veteran or the veteran's dependents following the veteran's military service. The VA claims file may include the following documents. Now, it is important to note that some of these records are specific to World War I veterans. These documents may include war risk insurance application, adjusted compensation or bonus application, medical records, disability or pension application, service records, widow's application for pension or benefits, and application for death or burial benefits. As a brief review, the VA Master Index cards were created by the Veterans Bureau and later the Veterans Administration as an index of veterans who had insurance applications, conversions, veterans who had filed claims for benefits, and veterans who had applied for a World War I bonus. The numbers recorded on the right side of the VA index card are the application numbers for the various benefits that the veteran or their family applied for. The war risk insurance, the T number on the VA index card, and the adjusted compensation or A number on the VA index card, as well as the adjusted compensation certificate number or the CT number on the VA index card, which is related to the A number, are the benefits for my great-grandpa's claims file that we will look at today. War risk insurance was enacted by Congress in October of 1917 and provided for members of the military and their families to receive financial compensation in the event of death or disability of the service member. The maximum amount of life insurance each service member could purchase was $10,000. The minimum was $1,000. This insurance was administered through the United States Treasury Department. This is the top half of the war risk insurance application. Following my great-grandpa's induction into the Army on August 6, 1918, he was sent to Fort Logan, Colorado for acceptance into the Army, arriving there the next day. While at Fort Logan, he applied for war risk insurance. The insurance application number, 3420835, is stamped on the upper right corner of the application and matches the T number recorded on his VA index card. The application lists the following information: his service number, his name and current home address, his date of birth and age. Now, the age of the service member determined the monthly premium that was to be paid. For my great-grandpa, he was 24 years old, which meant the monthly premium he paid was $6.60 for the $10,000 life insurance policy that he purchased. This application also lists his date of entry into military service and the beneficiary. His beneficiary was his mother, Fanny Dodge, who lived in Buena Vista, Colorado. She would have received $10,000 in the event of her son's death. However, Fanny would pass away on May 11, 1919, while her son was serving with the American Army of Occupation in Germany. This is the bottom half of the war risk insurance application. This insurance application also lists the date and place of the application, which was August 7, 1918 at Fort Logan, Colorado, and the rank and unit of the applicant. At this time, he was a recruit assigned to 19th Recruiting Company, General Service Infantry. Following application for insurance, a certificate was issued and sent to the beneficiary. From the file, it appears that this took some time to happen. In January of 1919, his father, Nathaniel, wrote the Treasury Department to inquire about the insurance certificate. He was informed by letter dated February 4, 1919, that the certificate of insurance had recently been issued and sent to Fannie. A copy of the certificate was not included in the VA claims file that I received. Following his honorable discharge from the Army, a notice of discharge, seen here, was sent to the Treasury Department, which oversaw the Bureau of War Risk Insurance. This notice lists much of the same information that is also on the insurance application. The notice of discharge also lists his date of discharge, August 16, 1919, as well as the reason for discharge. The notice here erroneously lists his date of enlistment as August 15, 1919. This date is very likely the date he arrived at Fort Russell, Wyoming from Camp Merritt, New Jersey. The notice also lists his monthly premium that he paid for the war risk insurance, which was $6.60 per month and deducted from his monthly pay. The next set of documents we will look at are his application and payment for adjusted compensation following his military service in World War I. What was the World War I adjusted compensation or bonus application? The World War Adjusted Compensation Act, or Bonus Act, was a United States federal law passed on May 19, 1924, that granted a benefit to veterans of American military service in World War I. The value of each veteran's credit was based on each recipient's service in the United States Armed Forces between April 5, 1917 and July 1, 1919. An adjusted service certificate, which functioned like an insurance policy, was issued. The value of a veteran certificate was set as the value of a 20-year insurance policy, equal to 125% of the value of his service credit. Certificates were to be awarded on the veteran's birthday no earlier than January 1, 1925, and redeemable in full on his birthday in 1945. Veterans were able to take out loans against their certificates beginning in 1927. We are going to look at two different applications for adjusted compensation. We are going to go back and forth between my great-grandpa Dodge's and Clarence Keith Newitt's adjusted compensation applications. The first and third pages of the application are from Keith Newitt's adjusted compensation application and are part of his official military personnel file, or his 201 file. The second and fourth pages of the application that we are going to look at are from my great-grandpa Dodge's adjusted compensation application and are the only pages of his bonus application that were included with his VA claims file. Now, if the first and third pages of my great-grandpa Dodge's adjusted compensation application were with his 201 file, they would have been destroyed in the 1973 National Archives fire. The first page lists the following information: the name of the applicant, their service number, their present address as shown on the VA Master Index card as well, the date and place of birth, their date and place of enlistment, dates and units of service, date of discharge, and their character at the time of discharge. Here is page 2 of my great-grandpa Dodge's bonus application. On the top right corner is stamped the bonus application number, 2558239. This is the same number that is listed as the A number on his VA index card. Also on this page, he lists his sister, Ann Graham, as his beneficiary, in the event that he should pass away before collecting the full payment of his adjusted compensation. His sister was living at Salida, Colorado in 1924. Along with his signature, page 2 also has his fingerprints on the form as an additional proof of positive identification. His 201 file would have included his fingerprints and would have been compared to this application to help positively identify him as the veteran. Now, by 1924, my great-grandpa had left Buena Vista, Colorado, and was living in Rawlins, Wyoming when he completed and filed his bonus application. And the address here is the same address as shown on his VA index card. This is page 3 of the adjusted compensation application for Clarence Keith Newitt. This page would have listed any commissioned service, whether a furlough had been granted, or whether the applicant had been a conscientious objector. This page also lists the date of the application and signature of the applicant. In addition, this page also lists references who attest to the validity and character of the applicant. On this page, we see both references had known Keith for several years and that they also both lived in San Francisco. This is the fourth page of my great-grandpa Dodge's adjusted compensation application. This page would have listed any dependents of the applicant. At this time, in 1924, he was not married and did not have any children. His mother, Fanny, had passed away in 1919 while he was overseas. His father, Nathaniel Dodge, was still alive in 1924 and still living in Buena Vista, Colorado, but was not listed as a dependent. The total value of the adjusted service certificate awarded to my great-grandpa Dodge was $848. Beginning in 1927, applicants were able to take out loans against the total value of their adjusted service certificate, which he did. Here are copies of each loan voucher that were issued. Each loan voucher lists the application number as well as the certificate number, which numbers are reflected on his VA index card. Each voucher also lists where he lived at the time each loan was taken out. His first loan was dated November 15, 1928, for $118.32. At the time of his first loan, he was living in Rawlins, Wyoming. His second loan was dated September 5, 1931, for $312.08. At the time of his second loan, he was living in Laramie, Wyoming. When the Adjusted Compensation Act was enacted in 1924, there was no forethought as to how economic conditions would change. With the economic depression of the 1930s, a change was needed in this act to provide veterans with the money that was due them. In 1936, Congress passed the Adjusted Compensation Payment Act, which replaced the Adjusted Compensation Act of 1924 and provided for immediate payment of the adjusted compensation in Treasury bonds for each $50 that was owed. The act replaced the service certificates awarded to veterans under the World War Adjusted Compensation Act of 1924 with bonds issued by the Treasury Department in denominations of $50. The bonds paid interest at an annual rate of 3% from June 15, 1936 through June 15, 1945. The Treasury would redeem them for cash at any time after June 15, 1936. Most veterans redeemed their bonds promptly. This act promised payment of the certificates that were issued to those who had applied for adjusted compensation back in 1924. My great-grandpa filled out the 1936 payment for adjusted compensation application on February 15, 1936. On the left is the top portion of the application, while on the top right is the bottom portion of the application. In order to verify the identity of the veteran, the 1936 application listed the following information: the certificate number, the adjusted compensation number, the date and amount of the certificate, the name of the applicant, the date and place of birth of the applicant, their service number, date of enlistment, rank, date of discharge, current address, and once again, fingerprints of the applicant. The document on the bottom right shows the remaining balance that was paid to him, as well as the loans he had taken out against the total balance of the original certificate. This document on the bottom right indicates that my great-grandpa still had $417.60 due him, and he received the payment in the summer of 1936. We will go ahead and end this portion of my presentation on my great-grandpa's VA claims file here. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation and found it informative. The information from his war risk insurance and adjusted compensation shows some of the benefits that my great-grandpa applied for and received for his military service. The next presentation will continue our look into my great-grandpa's VA claims file, and we'll look at the claim for health benefits that he applied for, which is the C number listed on his VA index card. Thank you.